In Japan, there is a budgeting method that has existed for over 100 years. It has nothing to do with apps, nothing to do with spreadsheets, nothing to do with complicated financial systems or tracking every single penny on your phone. It takes 10 minutes a week. It fits in your hand. And research shows it cuts unnecessary spending by up to 35%. Americans have never been taught this. Your school never mentioned it. Your bank never told you about it. And every budgeting app company has a very good reason for hoping you never find out it exists. Right now, 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Not just people earning minimum wage. People earning $75,000. People earning $100,000. People who, by every traditional measure, should be doing fine, staring at their bank account on a Friday, wondering where the money went again. Japan figured out something about money that America completely missed. And today, for the first time, we are going to show you exactly what it is, and exactly how to use it starting tonight. Before we get to the Japanese solution, we need to be honest about the American problem. Because it is not what most people think it is. Most Americans believe they are broke because they do not earn enough, and for some people that is true. But here is the uncomfortable data. Between 2019 and 2024, average American wages rose by over 20%. And in that same period, the personal savings rate actually dropped. Americans are earning more than ever and saving less than ever simultaneously. The problem is not income. The problem is the system Americans use or do not use to manage what comes in. Here is what the average American's money system looks like. Money arrives in the checking account. Bills get paid automatically. Whatever is left gets spent on food, on subscriptions, on things that felt necessary in the moment. At the end of the month, there is either nothing left or a vague, uncomfortable feeling that money went somewhere, but nobody is quite sure where. That is not a budget. That is financial drift. And financial drift is why 78% of Americans end every month with almost nothing regardless of what they earn. And here is the brutal truth that no budgeting app will ever tell you. The reason apps do not work for most people is the same reason the American money system does not work. They both remove the friction from spending. They make it invisible. They make it painless. And painless spending is unlimited spending. Japan understood this 100 years ago. And they built something completely different. The word is Kakeibo, pronounced Kakeibo. It translates directly to household financial ledger. And it was invented in 1904 by a woman named Hani Motoko, Japan's first female journalist, who created it specifically to help Japanese women take control of their household finances at a time when women had almost no financial power at all. For over 100 years, Japanese households have used Kakeibo to manage their money. Not an app, not a software, a physical notebook, a pen. And 4 questions asked at the beginning of every single month. Those 4 questions are, how much money do I have available this month? How much do I want to save? How much am I spending? And the most important question of all, how can I improve? That last question is the one that makes Kakeibo fundamentally different from every American budgeting system. American budgeting is about tracking what happened. Kakeibo is about asking why it happened and what you are going to do differently. It treats your relationship with money as something you can consciously improve, not just measure. And the science behind why this works is genuinely fascinating. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that writing information by hand activates different and deeper processing than typing. When you physically write down a purchase in a notebook, you are forcing your brain to consciously acknowledge it in a way that an automatic app transaction never does. The act of writing creates a moment of reflection. And that moment, just a few seconds of conscious thought, is enough to interrupt automatic spending behavior. This is why Kakeibo users report cutting their spending by up to 35% without feeling deprived. They are not eliminating things they love. They are eliminating the automatic, unconsidered purchases they were making on autopilot, the ones that were draining their accounts without adding anything real to their lives. Let me walk you through exactly how Kakeibo works in practice, because this is where most videos stop at the concept. We are going to go further. Kakeibo divides all spending into 4 categories. And these categories are not what you expect. Category 1, needs, rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, insurance, the things life requires regardless of choice. Category 2, wants, dining out, entertainment, clothes beyond necessity, hobbies, things that bring enjoyment but are chosen not required. Category 3, culture, books, museums, concerts, courses, experiences that educate or enrich. Japan treats this as a separate category because they believe spending on growth is fundamentally different from spending on pleasure. Category 4, unexpected, medical bills, car repairs, gifts, anything that was not planned. This category exists specifically so that surprise expenses do not destroy your monthly picture, they just go into their designated space. Now here is how you use these 4 categories. At the start of every month, you open your Kakeibo notebook. You write down your total income for the month at the top. You write down the amount you want to save, and this number gets decided first, before any spending is planned. In Japan, this is not negotiable. The savings number comes out of income before anything else is allocated. What remains is what you have available to spend. Then across the month, you write down every single purchase by hand. Not categories, individual purchases, the $6.50 coffee, the $23 impulse buy, the $140 grocery run. Each one gets written in its category with a 1 or 2 word description of what it was. At the end of every week, you spend 5 minutes reviewing what you wrote. You are not judging yourself. You are noticing patterns. The Kakeibo philosophy is that awareness alone changes behavior. Most Americans have never actually looked at their spending written out by hand. The experience is genuinely shocking. And at the end of the month, you ask the 4 questions again. How much did I have? How much did I save? How much did I spend? And crucially, how can I improve next month? That monthly reflection is where the real financial transformation happens. Because you are not just tracking numbers. You are developing a relationship with your own spending psychology. You start to see that the $200 you spent on random food delivery last month did not actually make you happier. You start to notice that the purchases you thought were wants were actually filling an emotional gap that had nothing to do with money. And once you see that, once you really see it written in your own handwriting on a page, you cannot unsee it. Now, let me translate this directly into American life. Because Japan and America have different financial realities, and Kakeibo needs to be adapted slightly to work in the American context. Step 1. Get a physical notebook. Not an app, not a Google Sheet. A notebook you can hold. A $3 composition notebook from Walmart works perfectly. The physical act is the point. This is non-negotiable because the whole psychological mechanism of Kakeibo depends on the friction of handwriting. Step 2. On the first of every month, write these 3 numbers at the top of a new page. Your total take-home income for the month. Your savings target for the month, and start with a number that feels almost too small. Even $100, even $50. The habit matters more than the amount right now. And your available spending, income minus savings target. Step 3. Set up 4 sections on the next page. Label them needs, wants, culture, and unexpected. Every purchase you make this month gets written by hand in one of these 4 sections the same day you make it. Step 4. Every Sunday, spend 5 minutes reviewing the week. Just look at what you wrote. Do not judge it. Just read it like you are reading someone else's story. This distance, treating your own spending as data rather than identity, is where the psychological shift begins. Step 5. On the last day of the month, answer the 4 Kakeibo questions in writing. How much did I have? How much did I save? How much did I spend? How can I improve? Write the answers by hand, in full sentences, not bullet points. Full sentences force deeper thinking. Here is what this looks like in real American numbers. The average American household earns about $500 to $800 a month after tax. If you apply the Kakeibo principle of deciding savings first and set even a modest 10% savings target, $580 a month, that is $6,960 a year. In 5 years, with a high-yield savings account earning 4.5%, that grows to nearly $38,000. That is a down payment. That is an emergency fund that actually works. That is the financial floor that changes everything. And that $580 a month does not come from earning more. It comes from the 35% reduction in unconsidered spending that Kakeibo consistently produces. Most Americans spend far more than $580 a month on purchases they genuinely cannot remember making 2 weeks later. I want to address the thing you are probably thinking right now. You have tried budgeting before. You downloaded the app. You set the categories. It worked for 2 weeks, and then you stopped looking at it. Here is why that happened and why Kakeibo is different. Every budgeting app is designed to minimize friction. They connect to your bank automatically. They categorize spending automatically. They send you notifications you learn to ignore. The entire design philosophy is about making the process easier. And easier means less conscious engagement. Less conscious engagement means the spending keeps happening on autopilot even when you technically have a budget running in the background. Kakeibo is designed around maximum conscious friction. Every purchase requires a physical action to record. That action takes 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, your brain is doing something it almost never does in modern American consumer life. It is pausing. It is naming what just happened. It is placing that purchase in a category that requires you to be honest about whether it was a need, a want, a cultural investment, or an unexpected event. That pause is worth more than any algorithm. Japan has the third highest savings rate among developed nations. The average Japanese household saves between 15% and 20% of their income annually. The average American household saves less than 5%. That gap is not explained by income. Japan's average income is lower than America's. That gap is explained by the system. And the system starts with Kakeibo. Here is the real takeaway from everything we covered today. America's paycheck-to-paycheck crisis is not a money problem. It is a consciousness problem. Americans are spending on autopilot, swiping, tapping, clicking, with almost no moment of genuine reflection between the desire and the purchase. And the entire consumer economy is built to keep it that way. Kakeibo forces that reflection back into the process, not with technology, not with complexity, with a notebook, a pen, and 10 minutes a week. Someone earning $45,000 a year who uses Kakeibo consistently will build more wealth than someone earning $90,000 who spends on autopilot. The gap between paycheck to paycheck and financially free is not always income. More often it is consciousness, the simple decision to look clearly at where your money goes and ask yourself honestly whether that is really where you want it to go. Japan figured this out in 1904. You can start tonight. Get a notebook, write your income at the top, write the amount you want to save below it, and start writing down every single purchase by hand. That is it. That is the whole system. And it has been working for over 100 years. If this opened your eyes to something you have never been taught before, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we bring you the financial wisdom that America forgot to mention. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.